Meet CodeBot for Delphi from RemObjects, an AI coding assistant deeply integrated into RAD Studio. Project understanding, multi-file changes, planning, reviews, skills, custom agents, and much more, built for the way Delphi developers work. And everything begins with understanding the code. What do these projects do? Give me a short overview. Ask CodeBot what a project does, and it doesn't guess from file names. It analyzes the entire solution first. It identifies that test server hosts the data snap methods and transports. Test client is a GUI application that calls and validates those methods. And data snap examples is a self-contained demo that runs client tests against an in-process sample server. Once CodeBot understands the solution, every follow-up question builds on that shared context. With the project already understood, the conversation flows naturally. Ask what provider server module exposes. Once CodeBot answers, simply ask which client method calls it. CodeBot understands what you're referring to, remembers the conversation, and follows the connection across the solution. Okay. The next step is visual form design. Instead of manually editing the form, simply describe the result you want. Here, CodeBot adds a new Ping Server button beneath the existing test buttons, preserving the existing layout and visual style. It analyzes the form, determines the correct placement, and generates the required designer and source changes. And one of my favorite parts is the visual comparison. It shows the form before and after the change, so you can instantly see the result. At the same time, it highlights the corresponding code changes behind the scenes. The visual designer and the source code always stay perfectly in sync. Now, I want to go beyond that and implement a new feature across multiple projects. I'll ask CodeBot to implement a new Ping Server feature. That means adding a new server method, generating the client-side call, wiring up the new button, and displaying the result in the application. Instead of changing one file at a time, CodeBot plans the work, identifies every affected project, and coordinates the implementation across the solution. With a single prompt, CodeBot updates every part of the implementation, from the server method and client proxy to the button handler and user interface. Rather than modifying files one by one, it coordinates the changes across the solution while keeping everything consistent. A few moments later, the feature is fully implemented. CodeBot has updated the server, the generated client proxy, the client application, and the UI. One prompt, multiple projects, coordinated changes across the entire solution. The next is a code review. I'll ask CodeBot to review parameters server module for bugs, code smells, and readability improvements. CodeBot doesn't immediately rewrite your code. It first analyzes the unit, explains its findings, and proposes a structured 5-step plan. You stay in control. You can approve the plan, refine it with your own instructions, or ask follow-up questions before any changes begin. Once you're satisfied, CodeBot executes the plan. The next feature is one of advanced capabilities, skills. Skills let individuals and teams teach CodeBot their coding conventions, best practices, and project-specific knowledge. CodeBot comes with skills for a wide variety of Delphi-related functionality. Here, I want to add a simple demo skill that tells CodeBot to generate every new method stub with a hello comment. And here it is in the list. Now comes the interesting part. In a completely new chat, I simply ask CodeBot to add a new empty method to a tserver module 1 client class. I never mentioned the skill, but CodeBot automatically detects that. It applies, loads it in the background, and follows its instructions. The generated method includes the hello comment, exactly as defined by the skill. Once you've taught CodeBot a rule, it becomes part of your everyday workflow. Next, custom agents. This advanced feature lets you create AI assistants with completely custom instructions, behavior, and personality. Let's create a lighthearted agent from scratch and tell it to add a short joke after every response. Now let's see it in action. I will ask CodeBot whether a file can be renamed. The agent answers the question just like CodeBot normally would, but it also follows its custom behavior, ending with a light joke, exactly as we configured. Same mechanism scales to agents that review, refactor, or watch your codebase for real issues. But it can also be really helpful to lift your spirits a little whilst you're working on the code. These are just some of CodeBot's for Delphi capabilities, but they should give you a good sense of what's possible. We can't wait to see what you'll build with it.